don't like shooting by myself. All these cameras, all these things to worry about. Hello friends, I am back again with another video for you, and if you watched last week, well, I mentioned that I was going to use up my last zucchini today and make a zucchini cake. This is a recipe that I have been testing. I was testing it prior to the whole quarantine thing happening, and then I didn't get back to kind of perfecting it. So I think that I know the changes that need to be made, so I'm basically gonna just today do my test for you in the video, and I'm just going to cross my fingers that it turns out to be the perfect recipe that works. Of course, that's kind of the problem when you're testing and developing baking things, is that you don't know what's going to happen until it's done, and it's like a big, you know, time investment, and often can end up in like crying on the floor because you've tested it many times and you just can't seem to figure what the hell is going on. So this is a zucchini cake that has some kind of like spice to it, so it's almost like a spice cake, but zucchini's in there for moisture, nutrition. You don't even know it's in there, but there are little nice green flecks in there. And because of the green flecks from the zucchini, I thought about cutting the flour with some ground pistachios as well for flavor, something interesting. Kind of how like I ground hazelnuts into a flour and mixed that for my hazelnut cake. I thought I would try that with this one. I quite like it. I really like ground nuts in kind of like baked breads and cakes because it gives it a really nice texture. It makes it a little more, I don't know, hearty or something. So it's fairly easy to whip together. I know people have been having a hard time finding flour at the stores. Hopefully in the last week or two you've been able to find it or stock up. I am going to be using an all-purpose flour. You could swap in a whole wheat flour if you want, but I am not testing it, and I have not tested it with a gluten-free one-to-one substitute. I'm thankful out there for all the people who are, you know, testing that on my behalf. I've had people do that with certain recipes and it seems to work out okay, but like I just always say I didn't test it that way, so I don't know, because that's true. So follow along, let's pray together that this works. Right now I've got my oven preheating to 350. You're also going to need one of these. I'm using a 6-inch spring form pan. Now this is because I wanted, you know, a fairly thick kind of loaf cake style, but I didn't want to put it in a loaf pan. I believe this will work in a loaf pan though, if you have one. Like a 9 by 15, is that the size of a loaf pan? So try that. I wouldn't go to like a thinner or a wider round because then you're gonna get a thin cake. But if that's all you have, fine. I suppose one could also divide this up into muffin cups, but again, haven't tested the bake time on that, so just letting you know. So first we're gonna start by combining the dry ingredients, and I'm going to grind up a 1/4 cup of pistachios into a spice grinder to get it into the fine kind of flour or meal like this. Now some pieces aren't gonna grind up for whatever reason, so I just take out the powder that I have and then grind up the whole pieces on their own just to get them a little more chopped up, but it's okay if they don't match this exact powder form. You're also just gonna combine 1 tablespoon of ground flax or golden flax meal like I have with 2 tablespoons of water, and then set that aside to thicken. And now in a mixing bowl, you're going to add 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon each of cinnamon and nutmeg. Combine this together and then you can set it aside. Now I have a stick of vegan butter, about 1/2 cup, melting on the stove. So once that's melted, you can just leave it in the pot and whisk in 1/2 cup of granulated cane sugar or granulated white sugar and 1/4 cup of light brown sugar, and then 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Once this is well combined, you can also add the thickened flax to this. All right, so now you have all your components kind of separated. They'll come together in a second. I have kind of, I guess what you consider a regular size zucchini, sort of on the smaller side. And you're gonna grate it on a box grater. I'll tell you how much this is grated once I do it. So you know me, I always have these nut milk bags. It is shredded 1 1/4 cup, but we're gonna squeeze out the water. Okay, so that way you know if you bought a bigger zucchini, don't grate it all, right? So 1 1/4 cup not strained. But this just squeeze, look at all that water. See, that would ruin the cake, I think, even still. Especially because we have 1/2 cup of butter. We don't need all that. Okay, so it doesn't need to be bone dry, but it needs to be like, look at how much water that is. You could just drink this, I think. Zucchini water? I've never done this. It's okay, it's a little bitter. I will drink that though. We are going to combine the pistachios in with the flour. Let's make sure I haven't forgotten anything here, guys. I usually do that. Then we'll add our zucchini. Now this is about 1 cup, not even. Once it's squeezed, it's 3/4 cup squeezed. Oh, and you know what? Before I get too far along here, I forgot to line my cake pan with parchment, so I will do that on the bottom. So all I do is I just take a piece like that, put it back on. Oh, what's going on? Okay, then you can trim this. I think it's best to just incorporate the zucchini and separate it, so coat it in flour so it doesn't congeal into like one big blob of zucchini. Then add in your liquid stuff. Gotta use spatulas because it's how you scrape everything out of things. Get every last drop. Okay, fold this together. So don't over mix it, it is a cake. You just wanna make sure there's no visible flour left. That's why I'm using such a small cake pan. This doesn't make a massive cake, okay? So this would work, I think, in a loaf pan also. Like I said, it smells good. The spices, the sugar. Get that in there, spread it out to the edges evenly. And then it's 350, it's already preheated. Last time it took me 60 to 65 minutes, but I suspect that's not gonna be the case this time. So let's go in the oven. All right, my cake baked for 55 minutes. Toothpick came out clean. It's beautiful, golden, and it's been sitting here for 15 minutes or so. I'm gonna take the spring form off so it can cool faster. You don't want to do that right away because you need to let it, make sure it's set in there. I also forgot, just in case, you should butter the sides of the spring form. I forgot, but I think we'll be okay because there's so much butter in the cake. But just in case, especially if you don't have a non-stick spring form or it's like older, maybe it's not as, you know, non-sticky, whatever. So I'm gonna take this off and hopefully all will be well. Usually it's pretty safe in a spring form. Look at that, it smells like, wait, I just got a whiff of it. I don't know what it reminds me of, but it's delicious. But you need to let this cool completely. Don't have it be warm at all, I don't think. Just because you want the glaze to not like melt everywhere. So for the glaze, it's just 3 ingredients. It's vegan cream cheese. I'm using this Kite Hill one, plain. The final written recipe will be in the blog post below. I don't know what the final measurements are right now because I am adjusting this for my first test. Also, if you're using organic powdered sugar, you're gonna wanna sift it so it's not lumpy. That way it's just finer, so I just do that through a fine mesh sieve. And then we're gonna put some lime zest in this and it's just delicious. So what you're gonna do is whip your cream cheese with a hand mixer. You could also do this with a whisk or a spatula. You know what, maybe we don't even need, I just like the hand mixer does it faster and quicker. I have a cup of sugar here, but we'll see how much we use. We're gonna use about 1 lime's worth of zest. So just add that in there. You can do less if you don't like it, but I like this sort of flavor in contrast with the cake, or to complement, I should say. We definitely want to go in with more sugar right now. I just added a bit at a time. You could also just do this to whatever thickness you actually want. I think this is sort of what I want. It's still a little drippy, but it's not dripping off the spatula. Okay, you need to be way more patient than me. It's mostly cooled, but like I just can't wait. I have to take a photo of it, the whole thing. So we're taking it off the parchment. We're putting it on this platter that I like. The icing, I changed my mind. I made it thicker, more like a cake buttercream style icing. So if it gets a little dry, what you can do is you can add some water or non-dairy milk, but I like just adding like a few drips of lime juice, not a lot, so that it makes it too thin. Just enough to smooth it out again. Okay, so let's frost this thing. Now don't worry too much what the top looks like because we're gonna cover it in chopped pistachios. If you have additional extra ones, it's gonna look very pretty and cover up any mess that you might have here. No big deal. Oh my gosh, it actually turned out perfectly. I was worried as I cut into it. Of course, it's why you want to let it cool because you need to let the crumb form and the gluten form. And truthfully, I think I cut it just like a little bit too early, but it's still fine. It held together perfectly. I'm glad I went this way with the icing. Oh my God. It's the perfect, soft, amazing cake. I think you could also easily do this with carrot. I have a carrot cake recipe, but I feel like this one's better. Okay, this is so good. It's all I dreamed it would be. Oh my God, it's amazing. First of all, you would never know there's zucchini in it. But if you just want a cake without icing, it's like really just good on its own. The outside is perfectly crusted. Thanks for going with me on this testing journey. Thankfully, it all worked out as it should, and you got a video out of it. Because originally I wasn't sure if I was going to make a video of this. I was just going to put it on the blog. Oops. I don't know why I made it with my hands when I have a fork. Okay, wow, this is amazing. I almost ate the whole piece right here. And since I'm all by my lonesome, I'm going to have to eat the whole cake. No, I'm going to freeze it. Oh my God. All right, well, follow me on Instagram @hotforfood. I'll be here every Wednesday, usual time, usual place, in my kitchen. So I'll see you next week. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already. Hit the notification bell to know when I've posted the video. It's very important to click the notification bell because otherwise some things are getting buried on YouTube and people are saying they don't know that I have a video out and all this stuff. So I'm getting back into my regular schedule. I know I was on a break, but I'm here now every Wednesday. Click the notification bell, give this a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. I'm always checking the comments, trying to reply to questions, all that kind of stuff. And the recipe to hotforfoodblog.com for this zucchini cake is linked below as well. And there's lots of new content on there, so go check it all out. That's it for me, y'all. Take care. Make sure to wash your hands. Stay the F home, no matter what the president is saying right now. That's it. Okay, bye.